Hey guys, welcome back to Caden's Corner. The NFL season is over and man did it go by in the blink of an eye, but now it's playoff time. The AFC will be as competitive as ever and I can't wait for these games. But before we start this video, I need to own up to a pick that I made before the season. At the beginning of the season, the Chiefs lost Tyreek Hill and I predicted that they wouldn't make the playoffs in a massive regression. I also thought after the rest of the division spent $1 billion that they would be a lot better. But I was completely off. Mahomes was magical this season and deserves the MVP. With that being said, let's talk about some playoff football. One of the most anticipated games on Wild Card Weekend has to be the Cowboys versus the Buccaneers. The Cowboys suffered an embarrassing loss against the Commanders last weekend and all eyes are on Dak Prescott. He went 14 for 37 for 128 passing yards and an interception. Now they go on the road against the GOAT and the pressure is on like it has never been before. This paired with the recent struggles from Prescott should worry Cowboys fans. Dak leads the league in picks and has only played 12 games this season. If the Cowboys lose against the Buccaneers, Jerry Jones could very well fire Mike McCarthy and blow up the operation. Last season, the Cowboys also went 12-5 and lost to the first round against the 49ers. McCarthy is coaching for his job this weekend and Dak is playing for his reputation. All that being said, I'm not betting against Tom Brady at home. Give me the Buccaneers to pull off the upset in the first round. Let's talk about maybe the most even matchup in the first round, the Vikings versus the Giants. The Giants have been one of the most surprising teams in the NFL, making the playoffs for the first time since 2016. On the other side, the Vikings have been a very underrated team all season. They won 14 games and no one in the media talks about them. They have been called fraudulent due to an NFL record of 11 one-score wins, but I don't think this matters as much as people think. So what, they win close games? The key word is they win. These teams matched up earlier in the regular season where the Vikings kicked a game-winning field goal. Now the Giants travel back up to Minnesota to face the Vikings, who are 8-1 at home and have one of the best offenses in football. I think this game will start slow with the Giants using a heavy dose of Saquon, but I think this Vikings offense has too many weapons for the Giants to slow them down. Give me the Vikings to pull away in the second half and move on to the divisional round. Won't spend too much time on this matchup. The Seahawks go on the road against the 49ers in the first round. The Niners have won 10 straight games and I think they'll come out a little flat, and I think that the Seahawks will keep this game a little close for comfort, but I have the Niners beating the Seahawks. The AFC is what should get every football fan excited. Three of the league's premier quarterbacks, Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen, all duking it out for the Lombardi Trophy. The Bills will see the Dolphins team without Tua, which doesn't give the Finns much of a chance in this game. I have the Bills cruising through this game onto the divisional round. The Bengals and Ravens play for the second week in a row, but the biggest question in this game is the health of Lamar Jackson. He missed the last 5 weeks and is questionable for the game. It's not looking good in terms of him playing, but if we miraculously see him out there, how dangerous of a runner can he be? He hasn't practiced in a month due to his knee injury, and I think this will limit him, even if he is good enough to give it a go. I think the Bengals shouldn't have a problem at all with the banged up Ravens, and they move on to the next round. The most anticipated matchup in the AFC during Wild Card Weekend is by far the Jaguars versus the Chargers. Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence are both playing in their first ever playoff games. I can't wait for this game. Last week, the Jaguars practically won a playoff game to win their division. They have been one of the hottest teams in football, going 6-1 in their last 7. On the other side, the Chargers finished 10-7 and are finally healthy. Vegas thinks this game will be really close, only making the Chargers a 1-point favorite. I think the Jaguars had a hell of a finish to their season, winning a terrible division at 9-8. But nobody talks about how good the Chargers were, being one of the most banged up teams all season and somehow managing to go 10-7. Even though both of these quarterbacks have no playoff experience, I trust Justin Herbert to win on the road. The Chargers passed the second most times in the NFL with the third most passing yards. Meanwhile, the Jags secondary give up the 28th most passing yards per game. Give me the Chargers to move on to the divisional round. The divisional round is when things are going to get fun. The Chiefs would face the lowest seed remaining in the AFC, which would be the Chargers. This would be the third matchup between these two teams this season. In both occasions, Mahomes has been down late in the game and figured out a way to win. During the regular season, Mahomes and the Chiefs put up the most points and yards per game, and I don't think the Chargers defense is equipped to stop them. The Chiefs having the bye week and home field advantage is why I think they will move on to the AFC Championship. But this is the game that should be absolute fireworks. The Bengals and Bills see each other again after the brutal injury to Damar Hamlin and the overall cancellation of the game. But they face each other again, and it should be an offensive explosion. Josh Allen and the Bills are trying to make the Super Bowl for the first time, while Burrow is trying to avenge his Super Bowl loss last season. This game will be a shootout and will come down to whoever has the ball last. Joe Burrow is that dude, and I expect him to protect the ball better than Allen will down the stretch. I got the Bengals moving on to the AFC Championship. Back to the NFC, where the Eagles will face the lowest remaining seed, and that's where they'll face the team that sent them home last season. The Buccaneers had their fair share of ups and downs this season, most of them being downs, but you can never count out TB12. Brady is second in the league in passing yards at 45 years old. The Buccaneers' biggest flaw in their offense is their ability to run the rock. They average the fewest rush yards per game. I think that number is going to get better. Their offensive line is getting healthy at the perfect time, getting center Ryan Jensen back and tackle Tristan Wirfs back. And the Eagles are getting banged up at the worst time. Jalen Hurts' shoulder isn't 100% and could limit his ability to run the ball and take big hits. I trust the Buccaneers to pull off the upset, even though they have been such an inconsistent team all season. In the other NFC divisional game, the Vikings and Niners will face off. I personally think that the 49ers will breeze through this game. Kirk Cousins is horrible under pressure, and the 49ers have the future defensive player of the year, Nick Bosa, coming off the edge. This defense has been above and beyond the best in the league, and I think the 49ers blow out the Vikings for a date with the Buccaneers. Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy and the 49ers will face off against the GOAT and the Buccaneers to determine who will go to the Super Bowl. When these two teams faced off a month ago, the 49ers absolutely embarrassed the Buccaneers. Brock Purdy didn't need to be a hero, and Christian McCaffrey tore up this defense. The Bucs were missing one of the best run stoppers in the league, Vita Vea, and they'll have him back for this game. If the Buccaneers are able to shut down the 49ers run game and force Purdy to beat them, I think they have a real chance to win. The 49ers forced Brady to throw 55 times in this beatdown due to their inability to run the ball. I think Brady ultimately keeps this game close, but the 49ers defense has been so good, and I have them moving on to the Super Bowl. Facing the 49ers will be the winner of the Bengals and Chiefs. The storyline going into this game will be how Burrow has Mahomes' number. He's 3-0 against him in his career, and last year had the amazing comeback to knock him off in the AFC Championship. The Bengals have been one of the hottest teams in football, and it's easy to hop on the Burrow bandwagon, but the Bengals will have had the hardest path of any playoff team by far. Beating the Bills on the road and then going to Arrowhead to beat the Chiefs is an uphill climb for the Bengals. I think Mahomes gets his revenge, and the Chiefs outlast the Bengals in a thriller. A Super Bowl rematch from 3 years ago, the 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The 49ers looking to get revenge from their massive collapse the last time these teams met in the Super Bowl. The best defense versus the best offense. These teams played in the regular season, and the Chiefs dismantled this Niners defense. The 49ers give up 15 points per game, and the Chiefs casually put up 44 points on them. But this is when the Niners were 3-4. Since then, they have won 10 straight, and this team looks a lot different. CMC is now in full effect for this offense and adds another weapon to this artillery. Kyle Shanahan is one of the best offensive-minded coaches in football, but is still one win short of a Super Bowl ring. I think this is the year he changes that. Despite starting the last pick in the draft at QB, this offense has so many weapons. McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle are all at the top of their position. Not to mention Brandon Ayuk, who has been one of the most underrated receivers in football. I think this 49ers offensive attack and stymied defense get Kyle Shanahan his first Super Bowl ring. I'm Caden Kubler, and that's my take.